Good afternoon and welcome to the 19th Annual HCS Alumni Association's Award Ceremony. We're happy to be part of the Heuvelton Labor Day weekend celebration, Purple Pride. Yeah. Today we will be honoring those chosen to receive the 2015 Distinguished Alumni and Community Service Awards, and we will also be recognizing recipients of the HCS Alumni Athletic Hall of Fame Awards. I'm Richard Todd, Class of 71, President of the Heuvelton Alumni Association, and I'm pleased to host today's presentation. A couple reminders, please silence your cell phones. Restrooms are out in the main lobby area just outside your door to the right, and the exits are clearly marked, so if you need them. Dave Kingsley told me to start out with a dumb joke, so did you hear the story about the elderly married couple who were having breakfast together? Well, the wife sighed, "Honey, I'm convinced my mind is almost completely gone." Her husband looked up from the newspaper and commented, "I'm not surprised, you've been giving me a piece of it every day for the past 30 years. Anyhow, before we begin with the awards presentations, I want to take time to thank the HCS Alumni Association committee members for all the hard work they put into planning today's activities. I'm going to mention them: Christy Fenton McDougall, Class of 02, Jean Kugler-LaJoy, Class of 64, Heather Dodds, Class of 89, Terry Merrill Pearsons, Class of 79, Steve Bain, Class of 72, Jamie Fenton Bush, Class of 79, Ron Ritchie, Class of 60, Kurt Ross, Class of 72, Marilyn Moore, Class of 74, Larry Caulfield, Class of 67, and Susan Brown Todd, Class of 72. These volunteers give of their time and talents to make this reunion, our newsletters, awards, and Facebook updates possible. We ask for your support. Please consider paying the $10 annual dues or any donation you feel appropriate. If you don't receive our newsletter and would like to, please let a committee member know or contact us on Facebook and we'll add your name to the mailing list. Right now we send out about 1,200 newsletters twice a year. Also, please contact any of us if you're interested in becoming part of our team. We could use some fresh blood. I'm going to start out with the awards. The Heuvelton Alumni Association is pleased to announce that Derry Laux is a recipient of the 2015 Community Service Award. Derry is a graduate of HCS Class of 67. From 1967 to 69, he attended Mohawk Valley Community College in Utica. Derry also took business management courses in the mid-80s at both SUNY Canton and Potsdam College. From 1969 to 72, Derry served in the U.S. Air Force. He was stationed in Texas, Massachusetts, and Spain as a communications center specialist. In the years from 1972 to 73, Derry served with the U.S. Armed Forces Network. He was a radio personality serving all U.S. military personnel in Spain and naval ships located in the Mediterranean Sea. Some highlights include interviewing actor Lee Marvin, actress Raquel Welch, as well as radio personality Wolfman Jack and the music group Blood, Sweat, and Tears. In September of '73, Derry was honorably discharged as a sergeant. In October of '73, Derry began a 40-year career in radio with St. Lawrence Radio Incorporated, WPDM, WSNN Potsdam. From 1973 to '78, he was an on-air disc jockey. From 1979 to '88, he was on-air and also director of programming. From 1989 to '98, Derry was a radio sales manager. From '98 to 2013, he was the assistant general manager until his retirement in August of 2013. Highlights include interviewing singers Chris DeBurr, Jeannie C. Riley, actor Larry Linville, he was Major Frank Burns of the TV show MASH, Dave Jennings of the New York Giants, and the magician mentalist, the amazing Kreskin. Derry covered some major broadcast events, including resignation of Richard M. Nixon, the Challenger disaster of 1986, and the 9/11 terrorist attack. From 1985 to 2001, Derry served as publicity director of Edward I. Moses Walk Run for Life, which has reached the $1 million mark in donations to area cancer centers in St. Lawrence County. From 1981 to present, Derry has run a total of 27,600 miles, including numerous 5, 10, and 15K races, half marathons, and 5 complete 26.2-mile marathons in Ottawa, Ontario, Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C., as well as marathons in Philadelphia, PA, and Burlington, Vermont. From 1998 to present, Derry founded and was director of the Hobble Gobble Prediction Run Walk in West Potsdam, which has grown to be the second largest north of Syracuse and has raised over $123,000 for area charities. Derry has been married for 36 years to his wife Eileen. He has 4 stepchildren: Jack Mee of West Potsdam, Kathy Mee of Milan, Michigan, Jeff Mee of Lisbon, and Cynthia Mee Hayes of Baldwinsville, New York. Derry and Eileen have 9 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you this year's recipient of the HCS Alumni Community Service Award, Derry Lowes.
Good afternoon, and first of all, I would like to thank all of the honorees this afternoon, or congratulate them, I should say, for all their individual and team accomplishments. Special kudos to the Heuvelton girls basketball team, state champs. I know how you were welcomed and thought highly of in the community, but being a Facebook person, I can tell you connections from Utah, California, all over. We were all very proud that day. I'd like to thank the Alumni Association for this honor. It means a lot to me since my father was also given this award about 3 weeks before he died in 2009. Special thanks to my classmate, Dale Finley, who is here, who I understand nominated me for this award. Thanks, Dale. As my bio that Richard touched on, I started running in 1981, and in 1984 ran the first of 5 marathons, and have run close to 28,000 miles in 5 countries and 10 states. In November of 1984, Jim Halpin of Madrid introduced the concept of a prediction run to the North Country. That's where participants are told the distance of the run, and then each runner or walker predicts his or her time it will take them to complete the course. The Madrid Prediction Run became the Lisbon Prediction Run, directed by Wayne and Janet Moore from 1992 to 1997. In 1998, I renamed it the Hobble Gobble Prediction Run Walk and moved it to West Potsdam, where I live. I learned a long time ago that sometimes we in the North Country think small, like why would they come to West Potsdam to run in November? And I thought, why not? I go to other places and I run races and I enjoy myself. So I tried to take what I thought was the best of every run I've done and put it into the little small hamlet of West Potsdam. My goal was 500 participants in 10 years. The first year we had 49 people, and I called up most of them to ask them to come. The number grew in our 10th year, which was my goal year. We hit 490 people, so we just missed. The number grew to 665 4 years ago, at which time I scaled it back to 575, where we are now. My operating budget grew from $400 in the first year to its current budget of $13,000. I started with 5 sponsors. I now have 29 who cover that $13,000 cost, and all those who enter with their entry fee, that money is given to charity. With this year's event on November 21st, we'll have raised approximately $138,000. The beneficiaries are the Potsdam Holiday Fund, Canton Church and Community Worker Program, Messina and Colton Neighborhood Centers, Helping Hands of Hanawa, Northern Norfolk Raymondville Outreach, the Jewels for Life Foundation, and the Giving Tree here in Heuvelton. It could not have been achieved without the help of the following people: Floyd and Joan Furman of Canton, Larry and Sharon Reynolds of Messina, Roger and Jen Fadden of Canton, and my wife Eileen. They have been with the Hobble Gobble all 18 years, and they've played an integral part in our success. I would also like to thank my sisters, Dixie Davis and Dawn Pike, and my brother Dana and his wife Solana, and also my brother-in-laws Jim Pike and Paul Davis, who is now deceased. The first year I asked Dixie if she would make a crock pot of chili, and she said yes. Now, under her supervision, she has made over 600 gallons of chili since that first year. Jen Fadden, who is a gourmet baker, bakes over 1,500 of the best chocolate chip cookies you'll ever have for each event, so she's over 25,000 cookies that she's made. And because of her affiliation with TJ Toyota in Potsdam, the Hobble Gobble was featured in a regional issue of Time magazine back in 2002. And last but not least, I wouldn't be where I am today with this event without the talents of Debbie Morgan of Norwood, who unfortunately can't be here today because she had surgery earlier in the week. She's a retired graphic designer from North Country Now. She quickly saw that my artistic talents left a lot to be desired, and she hopped on board, learned the running culture, and really put us on the map with beautiful graphics and things of that nature. And she also put up with a phone call from me every day. Also, thanks to my current assistants, Janice Adderley and Amanda Fonda, and to the rock bands, disc jockeys, mascots, and singers who perform for the participants on the course, and the high school cheerleaders who have lent their support over the years, from Edwards Knox, Lisbon, Messina, Potsdam, and your very own Heuvelton Central girls. I started the Hobble Gobble to give back to the sport that changed my life, but this run has continued to give me more than I could have imagined. For example, a Potsdam High School English teacher sent me a letter a few years back, and enclosed was a college admission essay from one of the Potsdam cheerleaders who said the Hobble Gobble showed her the importance of community involvement and helping others, and she's now a registered nurse. About 7 years ago, I received a letter from the sister-in-law of a young lady who was headed back to college in Rochester from her hometown of Herman a few days after participating in the Hobble Gobble, when she had a head-on collision with a tractor-trailer on Route 11 on icy roads. She was in very critical condition for over 10 days and very near death. In her recovery, she had to endure countless surgeries. Even though her injuries were so severe, she will never be able to run again. But when she was able to walk, she said she wanted the Hobble Gobble to be her first event in her comeback journey. I ask you, how can I top that? I can't. So, it is a community service award, but as you can tell, it takes volunteers, sponsors, contributors, all coming together to help others. On behalf of all of them, I thank you for this award. To close, here are the words of renowned author and poet Maya Angelou, who said, "Good done anywhere is good done everywhere. As long as you're breathing, it's never too late to do some good." Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. The Heuvelton Alumni Association is pleased to announce that Gordon Drummond is a recipient of the 2015 HCS Distinguished Alumni Award. Gordon graduated from HCS in 1965. He then attended and graduated from Canton ATC in 1967. and graduated from the University of Georgia with a Bachelor of Science degree. Gordon taught at Moore Central School from 1969 to 1970. He was then a Vista volunteer from 70 to 71 and worked at St. Lawrence University with Upward Bound from 1971 to 1972. Gordon graduated with a master's degree in social work at the University of Georgia in 1974. He worked as a counselor for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections from 74 to 76. He served as director of Youth Services, Family Service Society, Corning, New York from 76 to 86. Gordon was a clinical director, St. Joseph's Hospital Alcohol and Drug Rehab, Elmira, New York from 86 to 88, and school social worker for the Corning Painted Post School District, Corning, New York, 1988 to 2005. Gordon married Cheryl Gracie in 1969. They have a son, Brian, and a daughter, Corey, and 3 grandchildren. Other activities include developing the Corning Area Youth Center. He and Cheryl became national disaster mental health workers and worked in various disasters in Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, and New York. They also volunteered in local Red Cross activities in Corning, New York. Gordon also maintained a private practice for a number of years. He and Cheryl started an antiques and collectibles business in 1996. They buy, sell, collect, and restore vintage woodworking tools, early farm wrenches, and early farm machinery manuals. They retired to Inverness, Florida in December of 2005. They enjoy travel and have visited Italy, Costa Rica, Panama, along with many states including Hawaii and Alaska. Gordon was unable to be present today to accept the Alumni Award in person. He did send us this message. I would like to thank everyone from the Heuvelton Alumni Association and all the community of Heuvelton and DePoyster who helped make the great school community experience that it was for my classmates and me. I am honored to accept the award. My career as a professional social worker certainly was influenced by my parents and by the opportunity to participate in so many community activities while at HCS. Cheryl and I have worked with children and families in many different communities our entire career. We are now enjoying our retirement, our grown children and grandchildren. We continue our hobby of buying and selling antiques. And at this point, I'd like his sister to come up and accept his award. There's an argument whether it's going to be Mary or Diane, so I don't know which one's going to be.
I guess this is going to be the only way that I'll get up here. Thank you from Gordon and Cheryl both. And it's really great to see all of you. Thank you to the Alumni Association and all the people who do all the hard work getting all of this organized. I know my mother and father would love to be here to see all. Thank you.
Our next recipient, the Heuvelton Alumni Association is pleased to announce second recipient of a 2015 HCS Distinguished Alumni Award, Kenneth Lalone. Ken Lalone graduated from Heuvelton Central School in 1985. He attended Canton ATC from 85 to 87, majoring in engineering science. He then attended Clarkson University, graduated in 89 with a BS in mechanical engineering. Ken entered the defense industry upon graduation, working as a project engineer, focused on semiconductor manufacturing for Northrop Grumman Corporation in Fishkill, New York. He moved to Syracuse and worked for G.A. Braun, designing industrial washing equipment as a new product development manager, and soon thereafter was promoted to an engineering manager. At Ingersoll Rand, he held a position of manufacturing manager, where he managed plants in the production of components in the automotive and industrial sectors. In 2001, he was offered the position of Vice President of Engineering at Davenport Machine and moved to Rochester, New York. Even when he was working for others, Ken would go to work and perform as if his name was on the building. He consistently gave his all. In 2002, the opportunity to buy Five Star Tool Company was presented to him and he ran with it. The deal was sealed in March of 2003 and he became sole owner of the then 38-year-old business. His entrepreneurial spirit further developed and Five Star continued to grow into a multifaceted company. With 25 employees at the time Ken took ownership, it was focused on manual processes. Under Ken's leadership, Five Star Tool has pushed to improve its technical capabilities, emphasizing automation. The industry it serves includes aerospace, automotive, defense, firearms, industrial, medical, and tobacco. Ken's commitment to the company goes beyond profits. He has built the foundation so employees aren't worried whether their jobs are in jeopardy as a result of mismanagement. He recognizes the employees helped him get the company where it is today. There's a focus on work-life balance at Five Star Tool, as Ken is mindful that his employees, like him, have families and personal lives. Ken is married to Renee, and they have two boys, Jacob, 15, and Joshua, 12. They live east of Rochester in Ontario, New York. As a family, they enjoy boating, snowmobiling, downhill skiing, and traveling. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenneth Malone.
I would like to thank the Alumni Association for nominating me for this distinguished award. After graduating from Clarkson University, at the large corporation, I soon learned the management style was not thrilled the way the corporations focus more on profit than employees. I decided that if I had my own company one day, the employees would not worry that their jobs were in jeopardy. I wanted to be in control of my destiny. I grew tired and frustrated of working without job security, having to deal with large organizations that often couldn't be bothered to worry about the well-being of their employees. In 1999, Renee and I started our search for a company to buy. After moving to Rochester 4 years later, an opportunity finally presented itself to put me in charge of my own future, so I took it and ran with it. Five Star Tools started in 1965. The company had 20 employees when I took ownership. Since under my watch, we have improved technical capabilities, emphasizing on automated manufacturing. We have improved turnaround time through my lean manufacturing principles. We gained a 30% increase in shipments the first 6 months, and it never stopped. What has helped our company is a diverse customer base. No customer makes up more than 5% of our overall business. We have customers throughout U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Customers include General Motors, Chrysler, Alcoa, Boeing, Delphi, Welch Allyn, John Deere, many Fortune 500 companies, in addition to smaller manufacturers. Five Star works from product concept to production, which helps our customers in their success as a total partnership. We have capability really designed to make anything. We have invested over $7 million in equipment over the decade, which aid in moving products faster, shorten lead time. It gives us a competitive edge. We have invested in the latest technology. My employees are the bloodline of the business. If the employees do not do a good job, the customers will walk away. I have a focus of work-life balance to be mindful that my employees have a life and deserve family time. Every year we share the profits with my employees, which fulfill hard work and reward incentives to keep the business growing and employees engaged. Empowering my employees is my favorite part of the job. I receive great satisfaction when my employees solve problems and see the enjoyment they receive by making a difference. The most enjoyment is when they are excited about their jobs and their roles here. I surround myself with knowledgeable colleagues and it keeps me on my A game. The global market continues to be challenging for all companies, with increased government regulations, weakening global markets. With technology enhancement, it keeps our competitive edge. You can say I'm a fair person, but firm, and enjoy solving problems. Growing up in Heuvelton, everyone paid attention to everyone else, for better or worse, whereas in large places, people can feel isolated. I hope to the young people in the North Country who are still in school or just getting started on their careers, this is an example where hard work can get you. Success is simple. As long as every day you go to work and you have the drive to work or apply yourself at school, you can get there. If you put your heart and drive in it. My mother worked for 32 years as a factory operator at Alco, and my father worked at New York Telephone Company, in addition to operating a small oil business called KJ Malone & Sons, a home heating oil delivery service business. My parents had an incredible work ethic. What we did for fun was work. I was always looking for ways to improve overall operations when I worked for these companies. The more efficient we became, the more profitable results. Now that I own my own company, I strive to treat my employees as well as possible, bringing a small town sense of caring in the workplace. My employees are proud to be there. They treat me good, I treat them good. As I turned through these halls, it brought everything back to perspective of how I am in the position I am today, how I got there, and how my journey started. Within the facility of the school, the faculty, the people I encountered was the beginning of my foundation, socially and academically, enabling me to build my dreams. My parents gave me integrity, the ethics, respect to have work effort, and I'm so grateful for this. As I recall, starting in first grade, hitting some of my first obstacles, my teacher, Miss Teal, had taken notice of my lack of ability to read or say my alphabet effectively. She had discovered by putting a spoon to my left eye, I had astigmatism that I could not read the board soon after I had glasses. A teacher's purpose goes far beyond the imparting knowledge, guiding and evaluating. First and foremost, a teacher is a lover of children, all kinds of children. The teacher enjoys being with children, is interested in what makes children tick, how they think, why they behave the way they do. This committed teacher took interest in what I was lacking, maybe so small but so huge, if I was never to get past this obstacle so early. This motivated me that I did not have to sit in the back of the class being ashamed that I could not read. She was an architect in my future to help me realize I could get there. A few years later, my 5th grade teacher, Miss Eustace, took time for me individually to help me get by my reading comprehension to a level that would prepare me for the 6th grade. I recognized that effort she put into me. I had to put it into myself to make myself a better student. I was the only one that can make up this difference. As years have passed, there are memorable people that pushed, and one in particular was my math teacher, Mr. Barlow. You never knew you were being called to the board to write out your homework answers. With no work done, one day, trying to have my papers, Mr. Barlow called out, "Lalone, I'm going to wrap a 2x4 around your neck if you do this again," he spoke. Almost like he had a mind reading telepathy that you could not get away with anything. Coming into that class in fear drove me to always have the homework done correctly and achieve a level that I never thought I was capable of. Straight A's in math from this point forward. Those years drove me to accomplish those grades. I could attain this level with hard work. It propelled me into thinking that a career as an engineer was for me. Sports and academics were key for me to keep my balance of mind and body. I could see the hard work enabled me to make achievements early on. My dreams were there. Now the hard work and choices had to be made. The confidence I gained by conquering my greatest fear of failure was taught at an early age. Sometimes the thought of such failure would keep me up at night, and I told myself, if I could only attain this next level, academically or physically. Step by step, small achievements were attained. It didn't always come easy. Through the years, academic achievements, scholarships, leader recognitions, promotions, all came with hard work and effort. There were times early on, some of the people could break your confidence or destroy your dreams, maybe making you feel you were not worth being someone. It's like hitting fog coming down the road with morning dew. You have to drive through it, knowing there is light on the other side. I have a story or a theme that many may know, but it's worth telling. A bluefin tuna, which makes the finest of sushi, are caught on large nets and are brought to these large net pool farms to grow to fetch some of the highest prices on the Japanese and Chinese fish markets, sold as sushi. As the fish are placed into these large holding tanks, fighting furiously through their catch, which like any strenuous exercise, its muscles start accumulating lots of lactic acid. The lactic acid can cause an unsightly discoloration or burn in the tuna's flesh. So the fish become sluggish and can lose their value. Seafood suppliers have trouble shipping live tuna from US to Asia markets. On arrival, the meat was mushy because the tuna has been sluggish. What they do on these fish farms that have the highest grade of tuna, they place saltwater catfish in these tanks, the one with whiskers. They would probably not qualify as a natural enemy of the saltwater tuna, but these catfish, known more informally as trash fish. The Atlantic catfish or trash fish often lives alongside Atlantic cod, but this doesn't eat other fish, preferring to dine on crustaceans and mollusks. These suppliers found that if they put one of the cod's natural enemies, the catfish, in the tank with them, they stayed active, and exercise made their flesh stay firmer and tastier. So I found myself that having my catfish or trash fish in my life at times keep me thinking, keeps me fresh, and I thank God for those trash fish, because I would be sluggish, boring, and dull if I didn't have somebody nipping at my fins. The feeling of not giving up and accomplishing these goals will make everything worth it. There's no better feeling to achieve these dreams, but you know you will encounter these brick walls along the way. I did not let them stop me. I got through them. This makes life interesting and keeps you fresh. The theory of evolution, only the strong survive, may be so. The theory of competition says just because they are strong does not mean they can get their asses kicked. Every once in a while, a long shot comes from behind and proves everyone wrong. What a glorious moment to live. It's worth dying for in my heart. The odds are stacked up against you many times. The other guy is the favorite to win. But the odds do not know passion. This becomes a different test where passion has a funny way to trump on logic. The game is on. Words of wisdom. To whom may have goals and dreams. If you get hit, keep moving forward. This cannot be done, then the enemy is you. How bad you want it. It is worth so many sacrifices to get there. I was not afraid to make these sacrifices. Learn from your mistakes. Henry Ford. Failure is just a resting place. It's an opportunity to begin again more intelligently. Pastor Charles Swindoll. Words can never be adequate to convey the incredible impact of our attitudes toward life. The longer I live, the more convinced I become that life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off your goals or dreams. Don't be scared of failure. No one can stop you except you. Be what you want to be. I have always read and watched inspirational books and videos to motivate to strive to achieve my goals. Others seek guidance of mentors, successor coaches to spur their drive for success. No matter where your inspiration comes from, remember that seeking encouragement from external sources is a valid and natural part of your success process. These are many inspirational videos online today that I watch when I need my mojo refreshed. I want to show you how great I am, that I am somebody and can make a difference. I love this video. I have my own line, some may know, and it's called "Cause I Can." So the meaning behind that follows suit for what I've become. I always felt I had something to prove and wanted to be in control of my destiny. One person I have to give the most credit to is my wife, who goes on unnoticed behind the scenes while carrying a top executive job and funding our household in the beginning of this venture. Having our second child, while I worked exhausting hours and she did also. She kept it all together with her own demands that no large corporation cares about. She gave me the confidence when sometimes I did not believe in myself. She is one of the most intelligent people I know. I am so fortunate to have such a beautiful soulmate and strong will give me the kick when I need it. The road to success, while worth every step, is long, and there are times along the way when you need to pick me up, and she has been there. I would not be the man I am today without her. She was key in structuring our deal with her vast banking experience and financial savvy. Our kids are molded from her strong will. She allows me to feed my passion for speed and adventure very few ways would feel necessary. Thank you for everything you have done in helping me with this journey, Renee. Words of wisdom to my two boys, Joshua and Jacob. They have just started their first year at McQuaid Jesuit, one of the finest educational institutions in Rochester. Here's the guidance I have for you boys. The time is now. The clock is running. Make the most of it. You have to make it count now. The small steps will make your dreams turn to reality. The academic path is the one for you. Nothing is magical going to appear like an oasis. It does not happen. Life can be hard, no risk, no gain. Make your own luck. Make life on your terms. Have a vision. Don't sell out your future. Have the courage and integrity that this fine institution will achieve for you, as this small school has done for me. You cannot be comfortable. You need to stretch yourself and keep in the game. This is your decade for your future. It starts right now. Push yourself. Challenge to push yourself, harness your will. Boys, there are no magical formulas. It just boils down to apply the effort to your ability. Time is the most precious commodity. You may have to do it again and again. Don't get frustrated with immediate results. You need to build it a step at a time. Rome was not created in a day. Hard work, determination can be realized dreams. It's all about the effort to give it your all. We love you. We will be there to coach you along the way, but you have to earn it on your own. God bless, and thank you all to help me realize my dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Great message. Appreciate it. I think you left out one thing for your kids, though, is they got to find a good woman like your wife. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dave Kingsley, class of 74, to present the Athletic Hall of Fame Awards. David is a previous recipient of our Community Service Award, and we really appreciate his participation in this ceremony today. David?
Believe me, it's full, but I don't have to read the whole thing to you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who made the effort to come here today. I would encourage you to become involved with the Alumni Association or the Athletic Association if you possibly could. The Athletic Association Hall of Fame Committee meets a couple times a year, and they really could use your help. So today we're here to honor an individual athlete that played 1972 through 1975, along with two athletic teams. And our first award winner, or person we're going to induct, is Bob Drummond. I had the privilege of playing with Bob Drummond back in the early 70s, and the interesting thing is when you come to these class reunions, normally everybody looks maybe a couple years older. and maybe a couple pounds heavier and maybe a few more miles on them. And I thought, well, that's the way life goes. That's just what it is to get older. And Bob Drummond walked in today and proved all that wrong. I went, why don't you go back and go away and come back in 15 years when you've aged a little bit. Bob was a three-sport athlete. He played football when we had football, and played basketball and baseball. His main sport was basketball. He was not to be denied. He was a fantastic athlete, but I'd like to talk about baseball first. And Bob was a first baseman, and you will see him in a few minutes. He was big, and he's strapping, and he's strong, and he's fast. And not that our pitchers had great moves going to first, but it was such a treat to watch Bob put a tag on somebody. And we'd get a whole lot more people out if Bob would hold the glove down low, so when he caught the ball, he could just slide it across the bag and tag the runner out. Bob preferred to hold the glove up about as high as he could. So when someone came back into first base, it looked like Bob was trying to chop their leg off. With a mighty swing, and I said, really? Bob says, I want to make sure that they never want to stop at first base again. They're either going to strike out or hit a double, but they're not going to stand next to me. Basketball, he played on the 1973 West Division Championship team. He was on the All-Northern team in 1974 and 1975. He scored over 1,000 points in his career. He scored 55 points against Lisbon, setting a new Northern Athletic Conference record at that time. That record was held by Hal Cohen, and I don't know if the name Hal Cohen means anything to anybody today. Hal Cohen graduated Canton High School and went on to be a starting guard for Syracuse University in their heyday. So Bob set Hal down and said, I'll show you how to play basketball. The interesting thing is several years later, Bob and Hal ended up on a team at Syracuse playing together and tore up the Syracuse League. One of the interesting things was Bob played a good deal of his high school career hurt, and you'd never know it. But anybody that suffered a back injury knows that running up and down and jumping and leaping and diving for loose basketballs is not a good thing to be doing to your body. Bob didn't get the message. He'd come in with another back brace and get someone to lace it up as tight as they possibly could, and he'd lay on the floor, and he'd roll one way, and he'd roll another way, and you'd swear that you should be calling Dick Fox to come and take him out because he's almost dead. And then he's ready to go. He's ready to go score 30 points on it. He only knows one way to play the game, and that's straight ahead, full out, as hard as he can go. Mark Beckelhop shared a story of when they were playing in Canada. Bob traveled and played basketball all over New York State, and in Canada it seemed like the rules were a little different. They didn't respect Bob's basketball prowess, and a guy was maybe talking to him a little bit, or maybe giving him a little elbow, or just being unnecessarily rude to Bob. And Bob caught the ball out on the 45, about 20 foot from the basket. And as Mark tells the story, he said, I wasn't sure if we should leave the gym to get across the border before the murder happened, or if we should just call 911. Because he said Bob just kind of stood there and tucked the ball on his hip and looked at him like the guy was waving a red flag in front of him. And then Bob took off and went straight over the top of him and scored. And that guy picked himself up off the floor and never said a word to Bob. The message had been sent that this is where it ends. I have a letter that was sent to me that was asked if I could read it for Bob's enrollment in the Hall of Fame. It's from John Tahanika. It said, I would like to congratulate Bob on his induction into the Heuvelton Athletic Hall of Fame. Bob was a three-sport athlete. In football, Bob played fullback and defensive end. In baseball, Bob played first base. I wonder if Frank Lenny still has the black and blue marks from your tags. Well, he probably does. But basketball was his game. A gifted shooter inside and out, a fierce rebounder, and a determined team player. He was a man among boys. Like other Heuvelton athletes, growing up on the farm, Mom and Dad laid the foundation for hard work and dedication. Regardless of his prowess as an athlete, Bob the man far exceeds Bob the athlete. Congratulations again. I would also like to congratulate Ken Malone, Gordon Drummond, Derry Laux, Coach Powers and his girls basketball team, and Coach Minkler and the girls softball team of I'm sorry, it's a typo, it says 1955. Sorry girls, but you look really good, I'll tell you that. Coach DeHanuka. Before I came in today, a person who knows Bob very well said that he would share a few words if we had time. I think that we certainly can take time for a few words. Larry? What I like is the guy that said, I would be happy to share a few words, and then picks the back row in the middle.
Thank you, Dave, very much. My name is Larry Casey. I know some people here. You're superintendent of schools, and I taught church school many years together. She was the master teacher, and I was the tag-along. I've known a lot of other people here in Heuvelton for a long time. 3 years ago, I think it was, we were sitting at dinner for one of these events, and somebody asked me if I would say a few words, and I said that I would. I didn't think that I would have another opportunity, but I'm grateful for this one. At that time, I mentioned some names, and I mentioned Kenny Kelly and Dave Kaloran and Steve Putman and Cecil Duval and Mike Duval, Wes Stitt, Larry Ames, John Tehanuka, Norman Drummond, and Stanley McAdam, and people who I met maybe 1968, 69 in there, and people who helped influence my life. It was an honor to speak then, and it's an honor to speak today. I can honestly say, I said then, and I didn't realize it until I spoke with Mike Duval this winter, that Dave Kingsley calls Mike regularly, and he told Mike pretty much blow for blow what I said 3 years ago, and Mike repeated it back to me, and he said, Larry, is this what you said? Larry, is this what you said? And I said, yes. It is the truth. I didn't like John Tehanuka, and he didn't like me, and I didn't like Mike Duval, and he didn't like me. And I didn't like Robert Drummond. He didn't know me, but I knew him well enough to know that I was at Morristown. And if you were a Morristown guy, you couldn't like those Heuvelton guys. I've learned different. Time is a great healer. So I knew who Robert Drummond was long before I knew Robert Drummond. The dislike that people had in those days probably is similar to the dislike that people have today for key opponents. And fortunately, athletics teaches us a lot of things. It teaches us what's more important in life than the game at the moment. There are a couple of particular events about, some of you call Robert Drummond Bob, some of you call him Robert. I think I hang around with his family, and most of his family call him Robert, so I'm going to call him Robert. There are a couple of memories that stand out pretty clearly for me of him as an athlete when he was in school. There was a really, really big game here one night. Morristown was on the verge of becoming pretty good at basketball. They weren't good yet, but they were going to be good. I see some people shaking their head like they remember this. And they were going to become a real powerhouse in basketball, but they hadn't reached the level that Heuvelton had reached. And it was a really big game, probably late January, early February, a bitter cold night in your fabulous gym here. And I was sitting in the back row of the gym with Fran Holleran. There are people in this room who knew Fran Holleran. I see some head shaking on that. I was sitting with Fran, and it was a really heated game. It was a back and forth game. And just before halftime of that game, there was a loose ball right at midcourt. And the ball went on the floor, and Robert dove for the ball. And two Morristown boys dove for the ball, Jimmy Holleran and Andy Colburn. And they were both pretty good athletes. They weren't in Robert's league, but they were pretty good. And Robert grabbed the ball, and he stood up at half court. And Mike McCabe and Jimmy Ravito were the referees, for those of you who remember old-time referees. And they were right on top of the call. And Robert stood up and kind of shook his shoulders like this. And Holleran went one way, and Colburn went the other.